Hello, I'm Justin Napier Sr. I would like you to come along with me as I talk about the history of Schwebel's Baking Company. Came online in 1906, if you will. Yes, Dora and Joseph furnished this bread right out of their kitchen. Joseph was the baker, if you will, and Dora was the salesperson, if you will. She was the person that had the ideas that we needed to take this further, if you will. So in 1906, out of their kitchen, they started harvesting these loaves so that their neighbors could try it out. And the neighbors were the perfect test subjects, if you will. They loved the bread, fell in love with it instantly. And like I said, it was sold to the neighbors. She used big wicker type laundry baskets to transport it around. Then later on, she would go and ride around on bicycles. The picture that you just saw was the picture, one of the many pictures here of the HASELTON neighborhood. That's at Campbell, Ohio, right on the east side line, if you will. And this is looking down the street. It's a real hilly street. I can attest to it. I walked up that street all the way to the very top. This is going across Center Street, going across, if you will, Wilson Avenue, headed towards what used to be called the Center Street Bridge. In 1914, World War I comes on deck, if you will, and steel production ramps up big time. So even through these times, Schwebel's bread was a big seller because it was a main staple to people's meals, if you will. They knew that they needed to go on and get a horse and buggy because the demand was getting greater and greater. So riding around on bicycles wouldn't work anymore, of course. So in 1914, they started delivering bread to different outlets, such as this one pictured here. 1923, the company built a new bakery / store on Lawrence at Cedar Street. This is right on the corner of Center and Lawrence Street, if you will, in the city's east side, the east side as it mates up with Campbell. And here's their first bakery, full-fledged. It's built right on this property here. It used to be, it got torn down around 6 or 7 years ago. And there's a tire shop there today. In the background there, going across where the car is pointed, is Wilson Avenue, and coming alongside there is Center Street. 1925, Joseph and Dora moved to the 5th Avenue home here in the Crandall Park community on the city's north side of Youngstown, Ohio, to be exact. It was a very ritzy place. This home was brand spanking new back then. It's now 100 years old, to be exact. 1928, Joseph Schwebels dies. Dora Schwebels takes control of the company. A lot of friends and family told her, this is something you shouldn't do. You got to take care of your kids. You got 6 kids. She had 3 boys and 3 girls, to be exact. So with the help of her kids, Dora continues the family business. Here pictured in this photograph are some of her kids, cousins, and friends, if you will. October 29th, 1929. We all know what happened then, didn't we? Is the stock market crash. It affected a lot of different businesses, but ironically, it did not affect the bread business. So, around this time, Dora got the idea of bringing Happy the Clown on board. Now, Happy the Clown represented a brighter future, hope for tomorrow, if you will. So that's what the packaging she wanted to reflect, if you will. So they powered right through the Great Depression. Matter of fact, building a new bakery right in the hard grips of the Depression. In 1936, a larger bakery is built, doubling the output, if you will. So if they were putting out 1,000 loaves a week, it went to 2,000 loaves a week, for example. That was one of the delivery trucks. Here we go again, December 7th, 1941. The company is powering forward. Matter of fact, this year they celebrated their 35th anniversary, and they kept on powering through. Yes, even through World War II. Right there was the Campbell Works that was featured in the background. Dora would often go down there and sell bread at the factory entrance there to the workers during shift. 35 years of progress. Here pictured in this picture, the picture Dora to the left, of course, and to the far right is Eleanor Roosevelt. She had been known to come to this area a few times. A new number, if you will, $1 million dollar plant is built on East Midlothian in Youngstown, Ohio. They just had to travel a short way down the highway and right off the exchange, if you will, was Midlothian. So it was an easy choice, coming not too far from Campbell, Ohio, and easy to get to. Picture there was a postcard of Schwebel's. This is one of the many pictures I took with my little Canon point and shoot, if you will, that shared the history, furthermore, of the company and what was going on at the time. Here, I thought I would pan and show some of the fleet of trucks in the background there. To the right there is the former Boardman Rollercade, which they acquired and built a crossover section of a plant you see there in white, and then over to the original plant location areas there. So it's one big sprawling area plant. They still use that plant today, of course. 1964, Dora Schwebel dies, and Irving, her oldest son, becomes the president, if you will. Remember, Joseph died in 1928 of an appendicitis that burst, if you will. And but now the grandson, Joseph Schwebels, the grandson of Irving, now seizes the presidency, if you will. Schwebel's Bakery Outlet is also at East Midlothian. So if you want to go there and buy some bread, you can always go there and buy bread. I go there often myself, or my wife will go. I grew up on this bread, for the record, born in 1962. That bread has always been in the background of my life, if you will. In 1987, Schwebel's acquires Millbrook Bakery out of Cleveland, Ohio. And along the way, they acquired 6 or 7 other bakeries in the whole region. They just went on to acquire those as they were about to go under, and they bought them out. Ohio-born, Ohio-bred Schwebel's. This is the original Jewish rye bread that started it all, featured right here. Yes, this is the bread that they used to bake in their kitchen and sell to their neighbors, and then eventually retail outlets right there. I got a pack, or a loaf rather, in my kitchen, on the kitchen table to be exact. I love Jewish rye bread. Here's some early members. This was probably from the 1950 days, if you will, at the beginning of the new plant. A big proofing chamber where they would put bread in their dough to proof, if you will. And here's a big bat machine that would mix up the contents in a very, very big way. That's production there. And into the individual baking trays they would go. It looks like Jewish rye bread again before the baking process. Here we got a quality control inspector who's inspecting the loaves as they come down the line for even size and uniformity, if you will, to make sure that everything was looking good. No deformed loaves, so to speak. You just saw Schwebel's famous dinner rolls, and here are more different types of loaves of bread. They did a lot of different kind of breads: potato bread, wheat bread, if you will, mixed grain breads or multi-grain breads. This is what the rolls looked like before they went into the oven process here. Here are more loaves that look like Jewish rye as it's coming out. I could see the seeds in there as it comes out of the oven and before it's sliced and put in the wrappers. Schwebel's did many different kind of breads, like I mentioned: potato bread, rye bread, wheat bread, but their number one bread is white bread. 52% of their bread, matter of fact, is white bread, is featured here. 18% I think it's wheat bread, and then so on and so on. They have a lot of different kind of breads. That's one of the reasons why Schwebel's is still up and running, and they still are a factor. They were always ahead of the trends, if you will, always making a very large assortment of different kind of breads. They just didn't rest, if you will, on the Jewish rye bread. Remember, I told you 52% of their sales is their white bread. Here, this truck represents the SBC Transportation, which stands for Schwebel's Bakery Company Transportation. It is formed in 1996. At this point, they had over 600 trucks that could disperse the loaves, the tasty loaves of bread, all over the region, into Canada, West Virginia, Indiana, Michigan, New York. You get it, just all over northeastern Ohio and above and outward, if you will. One of their more famous quotes was, "Smile, we've got it covered." Here's one of their newer delivery trucks, if you will, what they look like today. Big, large size trucks. And this is one of the salesman's vans as he gets to visit some outlets that they are retail outlets, in fact. And here's some of the different artifacts that they would have, different porcelain signs, if you will. You see happy clown there. There you go, smiling away. It says some people are actually scared of clowns, but most people I think like clowns. Or though some people have a clown phobia, if you will. This is an actual business card from Joseph Schwebels, and that would be one of the grandsons, if you will, named after his the grandfather who died, to be exact. So that name would carry on. This is what the Schwebels logo looks like today. And this is a loaf that I think was done in the mid to late 60s to pay tribute to the matriarch of the business of the family, Dora Schwebels, if you will. There she go. Remember, she died in 1964 at 76 years of age. This is one of the later, earlier model delivery trucks, as opposed to that white one we saw earlier. 120 years and counting. The Schwebels Baking Company, still located in Youngstown, Ohio, just known all over the region as the bomb, the number one bread, if you will. There's the driver as he retires for the night. And I say good night to you as well. Thank you for coming along with me and listening to this commentary of a 120-year history of the Schwebels Baking Company. Follow me on YouTube at NAPE 1962. So long.